Hello, this is Penny Rosema, and you're listening to the Cookware Manufacturers Association podcast. We're recording from Frankfurt, Germany this afternoon at the Ambiente show. And I'm here with Peter Giannetti, the editor and chief of HomeWorld Business. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks for having me, Penny.
It's great to have you. I'm curious, how are you enjoying the Ambiente show this year?
Well, Ambiente is an important show because it's the first real global marketplace that we get to attend, and it doesn't take long to get a good sense of what the market's up to. So, I'm enjoying the show, but more than enjoying the show, I'm getting a good sense that the housewares industry is prepared after a fairly successful holiday period and a time when there's a lot of ordering going on right now. January was a month when we hear a lot of retailers needed to fill the pipeline. So vendors are reporting a solid start to the year after a good retail finish to the year. This show really gives you a good sense of that type of early year activity as we prepare for the International Home and Housewares Show in Chicago, which is only a couple of weeks away right now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I agree. I noticed how busy all of the places were as I tried to catch up with some of our members. The other question I wanted to ask you, Peter, is what stands out for you from an overall, the entire housewares perspective? Would you give us a view of how 2018 finished and maybe a view of the marketplace?
2018, for the most part, finished very strong. Some people will tell you there were mixed results, and as in every kind of market right now, there's winners and losers. It's the growth is measured more by how much share you may or may not gain against your competitors. The good news is housewares is a steady product category. We're in the middle of a strong economy, and that means housewares will be a strong performer. It finished 18 well. It's moving into 2019 well. The other good news is that retailers now have sort of sorted through a lot of the challenges that they've encountered. Manufacturers and retailers share the same challenges of a world that's kind of moving toward e-commerce. And it has forced them to be on the defensive for a long time, but I think they're finally back on the offensive. They've figured out how to service an e-commerce platform, a lot different than servicing your traditional brick-and-mortar platform. Good traditional retailers that have figured out how to optimize their omni-channel strategies, where they are keeping the most important stores in their mix relevant, but also backing that up with a stronger e-commerce position. The key right now is being where the consumer expects you to be. So we saw in 2018 a lot of the winners emerge from that pack of retailers sort of trying to figure out how to navigate this new e-commerce world. November, December was strong for many retailers we've talked to. I've seen retailers at regional shows in the U.S. in Atlanta, Dallas, and Las Vegas, and they've all reported a strong end of the year. That means a good start to the year because they have to fill those pipelines, as I said earlier. And from smaller retailers to big retailers, the order activity in January was strong, so there's a lot of goods moving through the system right now. So it sets up what could be another good year in 2019.
You mentioned that you'd been to some other shows before this one. Any comments on what's going on at those shows?
Well, they were visibly busier, and the eye test is an important test, but it's not the most important test. It's ultimately what happens at the shows. For instance, I was in Atlanta to start the year, and it's always an important year. Important event to start the year, and I could tell just immediately that there was something special about it. It was not just busy, but there was a palpable buzz. The retailers were there to not just plan, but to do some business. And that's a dynamic that is very important to this industry. Shows are important oftentimes as showcases, but when a show like some of these early year winter markets can actually produce real concrete orders, it gives the industry a sense that the year is off to a really strong start.
So there's some good energy going out there. Well, of course, we want to talk a little bit about cookware and bakeware categories specifically. You have any thoughts on what's going on with those specific categories?
Yeah, the cookware and bakeware category is a basic business for so many people in this industry, and As such, you come to an Ambiente show, or you'll go to the housewares show in Chicago. You see so many products, and it makes you wonder, kind of, how do you sort through? How do you differentiate through so many products? I think ultimately the winners are those who are not just radically changing the category, but are incrementally adding new value to the business. It's a basic business, and improving a basic business often means a lot of success in this industry. There are some trends that you have to watch for that I think are going to continue in 2019. One of the trends is kind of with the millennial consumer or the new consumer. I hate to pigeonhole generations, because I think it applies across the board. The idea of unless you're dealing with high-end, really high-end cookware, in the basic everyday cookware, the middle ground, the good and the better, you're seeing the traditional set configuration kind of dissipate. Consumers want to mix and match materials, shapes, sizes, functions. They're not locked into the idea of having one necessarily 10, 12-piece set. That's actually an important opportunity for the industry to recognize that, you're not necessarily servicing the consumer on their first visit to the store. They may be coming back. They're looking for a new idea. They're trying to customize the set to fit their needs. They may have a cast iron skillet for one set of circumstances, but they want a traditional fry pan in stainless or nonstick aluminum for another scenario. The idea of pots and pans that can do a little bit more work for them. One pot cooking is a major trend, and we're not just talking about traditional casseroles. We're talking about some unique, sophisticated dishes, but the consumers want a pot that's versatile enough to prep, to cook, and also to serve in, and they're willing to think of cookware in a more functional way than just what they've been trained or taught to buy, how they've been taught to buy cookware. This industry has to respond to that, and I think it's a new opportunity for the industry to think a little differently, not just to try to dictate to the consumer what they should buy, but to let the consumer listen to the consumer, because the consumer now has a voice that they didn't have through the various online platforms to give feedback to manufacturers and retailers on what they really want. Those retailers and those manufacturers really need to listen.
Oh, excellent points. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to respect your time, but there's one other question I have, is where you're headed next, and is the IHA show your next thing on the docket, or have you got something in between?
I'm going to try to regroup from Ambiente when I get back to the States in a couple of days. We only have about 2 weeks to turn around before the housewares show. Yes, the housewares show will be my next official stop on this very compressed and busy trade show circuit. But the great news about all these shows kind of going back to back to back is by the time we get to Chicago, we actually have a good feel for what we're going to kind of encounter there. But if you look closely at the housewares show, you're going to find some things you didn't expect. And I encourage everyone out there, both on the manufacturer side and on the retailer side, don't just go to the places that you always go. Discover, go into the hidden corners of these trade shows. Look for something that you didn't expect to find, because oftentimes that surprise will be the most important thing you discover for the rest of the year.
Great advice, and I look forward to coming. I'm for sure we'll see you there in March. And I so much appreciate your time.
Thanks, Penny. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next trade show as well. Bye-bye now.
Thanks. This is Penny Rosemel. We're with the Cookware Manufacturers Association, and reporting here live from Frankfurt, Germany at the Ambiente show. I want to remind listeners that you can hear this podcast and more on cookware.org. For more information about Cookware Manufacturers Association, check us out there, and hopefully we'll see you at the IHA show in March. Enjoy the day.